Now let's talk about those Milwaukee Bucks now. Let's settle up and go on this Milwaukee Bucks journey. Twitter is an incredible place, or X or whatever it's called now, is an incredible place. It's an incredible place because it allows people to get their think pieces off. Now, it's up to you to read and to listen and to take heed of what people think or what people feel or people's opinions. It's up to you to gauge that. And what Twitter and X does, or X, what it does is it allows you to have a platform to give your opinion and your viewpoints on a lot of things and share it with the world. Freedom of speech is a beautiful thing. I think when used correctly, it's a very powerful thing. And I think everyone has an opinion. What I think people get confused is just because everyone has an opinion doesn't mean that their opinion is important to others. But that doesn't mean that their opinion isn't important. You know, I feel like I'm going on a tangent, but let me get back to it. Seeing as though the two teams that had the loudest off seasons as far as trades, player acquisitions, was the Phoenix Suns and the Milwaukee Bucks. Phoenix Suns getting Bradley Beal from Washington. Milwaukee Bucks getting Damian Lillard from the Pacers. And the conversation on Twitter, on X, is which team is more of a disappointment? Seeing as though both teams that had the loudest offseason when we talk about acquiring players, the Phoenix Suns and the Milwaukee Bucks, both teams are out the playoffs in round one. In fact, both teams combined only won 2 games, and both of those games were won by the Milwaukee Bucks. I talked about this last episode. Sometimes reality hurts. Sometimes a lot of people want to live in fantasy because they don't want to face what reality is. Because reality, more times than not in these scenarios, reality isn't comfortable, isn't what they want it to look like. The reality is, since 2001, the Bucks have been one of the most disappointing teams when it comes to the playoffs in the NBA. Now, obviously in 2021, they won a championship. They beat the Phoenix Suns in the championship. Giannis Antetokounmpo, probably one of his best years, won Finals MVP. But since then, they have had epic collapses in the playoffs. And the same energy that I'm giving Joel Embiid, I have to give to Giannis Antetokounmpo. Play style is important. Everyone has a different play style, and what makes you great is your play style. But this is the second year in a row that Giannis missed games. I mean, this one he missed the entire series. Missed games due to injury. Obviously, last year he missed games against the Miami Heat, and when he came back, he was really unable to find his rhythm or his confidence at that. Chris Middleton has battled injury. I think 2022, they lost that series because they didn't have Chris Middleton. Injuries always play a part in health, always plays a part in who wins a championship. There's a reason why a lot of people are questioning the Boston Celtics, who we'll talk about a little bit later. They're questioning the Boston Celtics now because of the health of Kristaps Porzingis. I'm almost sure which, knock on wood, I don't wish that upon anybody, but I'm almost sure if, Nikola Jokic was out, the Nuggets would not be where they are. If Anthony Edwards was out, the Timberwolves would not be where they are. If Jalen Brunson was out, the Knicks would not be where they are. Health plays an important part in team success. And that is starting to be the story with this Milwaukee Bucks team since 2021. They have not been able to be healthy in the most important times, and that obviously is the playoffs. But the question is, who is the most disappointing team between the Suns and the Bucks? Now, obviously, the answer is the Suns, in my opinion, seeing as though not only did they get swept, they got swept and was completely healthy. The Bucks weren't. But the Bucks are kind of a cautionary tale. The Suns are as well. We talked about the Suns last episode, so I'm not going to harp on them. But the Bucks are kind of a cautionary tale. You see, when you get a player as big, pause, game-wise, as Damian Lillard, and when you get a player as important, when you get a player as good as Damian Lillard, you have to give up something. Unless he's just a free agent, you usually have to give up something. I'm not saying that when perfectly healthy, the Bucks can't win a championship. I'm not saying that when perfectly healthy, the Bucks shouldn't be considered as a championship caliber team. But Damian Lillard, what this Bucks team shows you is just because you have the pieces, you still have to make the right moves. Just because you have the names, you still have to make the right moves. Because if you don't, and then something unforeseen happens, i.e. a Giannis Antetokounmpo hamstring injury, i.e. a Damian Lillard calf injury, then, you find yourself in a position that you shouldn't be in. Like the fact that you're paying 3 head coaches at the same time and you only have one. And that one head coach has not shown the propensity, has not shown the ability to coach offensive-minded guards. But Giannis's injury saved the criticism that could have gone Doc Rivers' way. Again, I think you have to weigh out the risk plus reward when you get a player like Damian Lillard. Because obviously the reward is you have 2 players that are on the NBA 75 team, meaning that their contemporaries look at them as 2 of the 75 greatest players to ever play the game of basketball. That status alone, that title alone, should bring some type of championship caliber expectation. But you have to weigh out the risk and reward. Is getting Damian Lillard. And don't get me wrong, man. I understand that the biggest issue that the Bucks found themselves having is they struggle mightily in half court situations, especially when you see, Chris Middleton's injuries, and at the time Jrue Holiday wasn't the best. I mean, he was great, but he wasn't the best scorer. But you give up a Jrue Holiday to get a Damian Lillard. And Jrue Holiday is a much better defender, and people don't understand how much the connection defensively that Jrue Holiday and Giannis had helped this team as a whole. And the more that this season went on, the less shocked that I am that we're at this moment. I'm a little shocked that the Bucks didn't make it out the first round. That's a little shocking, but I'm not shocked that they essentially didn't make it to the NBA Finals. Because losing Jrue Holiday, losing Grayson Allen is a lot for this team. You lose two players that have a defensive mindset. There's a difference between playing defense and having a defensive mindset. Damian Lillard can play defense. He just doesn't have a defensive mindset. He has a score-first mindset. And obviously, that helped in the area of scoring. But then again, did it? I think we've seen the last of Chris Middleton in a Bucks jersey, which is probably why he was so visibly emotional at the end of the game, because I think he feels it too. I think injuries really played a part in how this negotiation is going to go with him and the Bucks. Even though he was their healthiest player going into this series, shockingly. The Bucks are, when you make a move like Damian Lillard and it doesn't work out, you rapidly speed up change. Change is going to come for this Bucks team. You have Patrick Beverley throwing the ball twice at a fan, then kicking out a reporter because she doesn't subscribe to his podcast. There is going to be major changes in Milwaukee. And when you see what other teams in the East are looking like, and you see what the West looks like, it's kind of like how I feel in a certain instance about the Baltimore Ravens this year. I felt like when the stars align your way, you have to capitalize because they may never align again. And they were unable to get it done. I think that if there was a year to get it done for the Milwaukee Bucks, it was this year. Because I don't know, you're losing, more likely you're going to lose Chris Middleton. I don't know how you get much better. There's not too many free agents that fit with Giannis and that fit with Dame that will really put you over the top. Yeah, man, it sucks. It sucks. But this is why you can't rest on names, and you can't rest on your laurels. You can't rest on, we have Dame, we have Giannis. That shows you how dependent this team is with Giannis. Giannis didn't play this series, and they got bounced out in 6. And the only reason why they got bounced out in 6 is because Damian Lillard went crazy one of them games. I think game 1. He went crazy in the first half, and he went out. And I think games 5, Chris Middleton went crazy. He had like 40, didn't he? 46. And we talk about legacy. And we talked about Joel Embiid. Well, this is yet another year that Giannis wasn't 100% at the end of the year. And as great as Giannis is, as much as we heap praise about how physically dominant he is, and no matter where you rank him as far as top players in the league, there is an argument that can be had that his play style is not cohesive for longevity in the league. I don't think people understand. That's why a jump shot is so important. Yes, a jump shot essentially puts another bullet in your arsenal, and it allows you to score a different way, but it also extends the life of your career so you don't have to bump and bruise down in the paint. That's why you see a lot of players that are shooters play as long as, like a Ray Allen, like a Kyle Korver, like a JJ Redick, more than likely like a Steph Curry. That's why shooters usually last longer, because their body doesn't take that bumping and bruising. Giannis is devoid of shooting. In fact, his entire game is literally north and south. And I'm not saying that it, change your game and don't do that anymore. I'm just saying add pieces. Because when you are a north-south player and you hurt your hamstring, your dominant hamstring at that, it's curtains for that. That's why when that happened, and then it said that he hurt, I think his left hamstring, which is the hamstring that you jump off of, I was almost sure we're not seeing Giannis again this year because of how he plays. Now, if he was a shooter, maybe different, but no. Now, I'm not saying Giannis is trash or anything. I'm just saying, oh, man, you stayed to the end of the video. I appreciate you. If you like what you saw, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss any content from your boy. You can also go back and watch past episodes, past clips, and don't forget that the Unpopular Podcast, new episodes drop every Wednesday and Saturday. Appreciate you.